Okay, guys. Okay, we're on air, so we'll just wait till a couple of people roll on in here. Pretty sure some people want to deal with this topic. With even one person click in, we'll just get going, and I just start asking, some good questions, and you kind of educate people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I finally get to talk to you. I mean, on a live stream, and wow,
Yeah,
it's been a while.
it has, and it's been quite a while.
Yeah. Hey, how's my microphone sound? I've been having some issues with this thing. I hope it's. Oh, so can you hear me pretty good?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you very well.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, Guitar Babe, we have one person in, so let's go ahead and get started. And he left. That's okay. All right. It's not a popular topic, but you know what? People can listen to it on archive, so we can get ready. All right. So, guys, LDBC, this is Coach Shelton Harrison, and, I have a very good friend of mine here. I have Guitar Babe, and you guys seen in the comment section, leaves some great, awesome comments, looks at things from a variety of different points of view. How you doing this evening, young lady?
I'm doing very well. Just hanging out here with my mom. It snowed, so yeah.
Lucky, lucky you guys. Holy crap. Well, it's nice and sunny here. It's 55 degrees here. So,
Oh, that sounds good.
yeah, yeah. Well, just kind of had to let you just kind of see what the weather's like down here right now in December.
Yeah.
Turn it in. Well, today, we're going to talk about a very serious topic. We're going to talk about mental health. And, we've talked about it before that it's nothing to play with. So, could you kind of get us started and tell us, like, what misconceptions do people have about mental health issues?
Um. Well, like with mental health, especially like depression, people they get it mixed up with just being sad. Like depression isn't exactly the same thing as being sad. I mean, yeah, you have your days where you're sad, but depression, you feel like that a majority of the time. And you don't know why you feel that way. Like depression is associated with thoughts of like suicide, cutting yourself. um but yeah, like it's not the same as if you go, oh, I'm just feeling sad today. Like depression is, you get that feeling of just feeling just down all the time, and you can't figure it out. Like you just don't have any control over it. So that's a little bit um of what mental health really is. It's like the body, like how it can get physically hurt and sick, your mind can get physically, or your mind can get sick as well. So I mean, it's definitely, your mind can definitely get sick, just like your body can get physically hurt and sick as well. So it's definitely not just something that's just in somebody's head. Like it's an actual illness. Like people actually deal with it. People actually have to get treatment for it. So that's the gist of it.
Okay, so I guess maybe we should talk about why like having a mental health issue is nothing to be ashamed of. Like, could you kind of, because see, this is your Terry. You have a lot of experience with this. I've got some, and I'll even disclose what happened to me. But you've got much, much more, and I think you'll be helping a whole lot more people. So, why is it nothing to be ashamed of?
Because like a lot of people deal with mental illness, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, because it is something that people are dealing with. You're not going crazy. Like if you're dealing with mental health, like depression, like it's nothing to be ashamed of. You're not going crazy. Like you're okay. Like there's nothing to be ashamed of. You can get help, you can be treated for it. um like you're not crazy at all. If you're dealing, what's that? Are you ashamed you have diabetes? Same thing. Yeah. But yeah, like it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's okay to talk about it. Like me personally, like I'm not going to think you're crazy, if you talk about depression. I'm not going to think that at all. I'm going to think of you as a human being. And I wouldn't I'm not going to judge anybody that deals with it because it is very serious and it really is something that people really don't have any control over.
Now, can you actually tell people about the misconception that people who actually look like they're doing fine, but deep down they have these inner demons, and they got just a big mental health problem going on. Like, can you speak on that, some?
Yeah. Thing that people don't understand about like depression, it doesn't have a face. People can seem like they're okay, but deep down inside, like they just have this cloud over their head. Um, I think I can use the example. The Lincoln Park, Chester Bennington. I think his wife posted a video. It was about 36 hours before he took his own life, and he's sitting there with his family, joking, laughing, playing cards. He seemed happy, and little did you know, you'd think 36 hours later he would do that. You would never think somebody would do that, but that's the thing, it doesn't have a face. Just because somebody seems like they're okay, they're joking around, laughing, that that doesn't mean they're okay. Like, so I mean, that's definitely, there's no face for depression. Um, but yeah, that's definitely something people need to be aware of, is that it doesn't have a particular face. Like it doesn't have a look. So yeah.
So now, tell me, when does it go from just a person being just sad to, okay, like, hey, like there are stages to this. So could you kind of like maybe outline some of the like the stages that leads up to a person really thinking about, hey, I think this is it. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like, so kind of maybe outline the stages for us.
How do I? Sure. Is it okay if my mom joins in here?
She can join in, of course she
All right.
can.
Because we both know so much about it. Yeah. Hi, Sheldon. This is Anne. Um, the
All right.
stages, the stages, they can go very quickly or they can go very slowly. But it is that it's sad for so long. It isn't just a day. It's days and days, and it is debilitating to your lifestyle, so that you can't do what you would normally do. Maybe work is hard. Sometimes getting out of bed is just too much. When it gets to that point, then you know that you need to do something about it. Because, we all have sad days. But when it gets clinically depressed, then you need to do something. Yeah, like there's like there's you feel sad, but when you're having like thoughts of suicide, like you want to hurt yourself, um then that's the big difference there. Sure, like my mom said, everybody gets sad some days, but when it gets to that stage of, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to go, nobody cares about me, um yeah, when it gets to that stage, then that's when it's like, okay, I need to do something.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Because this kind of sparked us to do this because I made a motivational video to Priscilla Caccieri. She's a mixed martial artist, and I was kind of wondering, like, man, a lot of backlash, for this woman who, I've seen it before. I've seen, the person identifies with the problem. They're kind of telling people about it, and when that person tells me that, what, I still struggle with abuse or drug abuse, that the depression bug is still in the back of their mind because I know I've seen it before. And so how important is it for those kind of people that they still have that there, in their mind, like it's there, they're trying to move on, they're getting better, but that bug is still there. So what do those people need to do?
Um, well, what I do, because I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. I currently am dealing with major depression. Um, just lots of counseling. Find somebody to talk to. Like if you feel like you're going to do something like call up a friend, hang out with somebody, um, like counseling. There's even me personally, I actually do take medication for it, because it's gotten to that stage for me. But yeah, I would recommend, just just talking to somebody, finding somebody to hang out with, just to talk about it with them, because that really does help me, just finding somebody to talk about it with. And but yeah, just find somebody to talk to and, just be there for you.
And it's real important, even though our friends help us, it's real important to know that there's a difference between a friend and professional counseling. Medication will get you to the point that that a counseling can be effective, because sometimes at the beginning of depression you can't even talk to anybody. But when you can get medication, will bring you up to the point that you can talk to somebody, then find a professional counselor, because it's going to happen again unless you get to why it's happening. Now, it might just be plain old biochemical, but it probably has some sort of triggers. And a professional counselor can help you identify those triggers so that they don't trigger the depression anymore. Because for all of us, there's something that has happened, or something that we think has happened, that will cause the depression to return. Once is hardly ever enough. It nearly always returns until we get enough professional counseling to figure out those triggers.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Now, guys, I appreciate the people that you guys are in here, because I know that this what we're gonna tell you is helping you. Now, toward the end, guys, we're all gonna talk about like how to actually get out of it. Because I mean, I was there. I was like overly. I say what I think I told you 14 years ago. Like I was dealing with it like it was a heavy bout of depression, and it got to the point where I was like, man, I don't know if this is going to work out. Like, I had those thoughts, years ago. And I'm not ashamed of it. I used to be so ashamed of it for years, used to be ashamed of it. But, now that, I've gotten out of it and actually I can see when somebody is, I can tell. But, toward the end of this, we'll definitely tell you how to, get through it. And I'll tell you what helped me. Um, so let's kind of keep going, okay? So, okay, when a person, why do people feel the need to they think that professional counseling isn't going to help them? Let's start there.
Um, I think it, like I said, it could be just the depression, because you do feel hopeless already, when somebody said, why don't you try going to talk to somebody? And, you just automatically are like, oh, that's not going to help. I know I did that. I've done that. My mom has like, why don't you talk to somebody? And I, and I've even go, no, it's not going to help. I just don't feel like anything's going to help. And that right there is the depression talking, um, you just feel hopeless and stuff. So, but yeah, like,
it's also true that often in counseling, you feel better before, you feel worse before you get better. So that talking through these things brings it all back up. Well, who wants to do that? I just want it to go away. I just want to feel better. I don't care if I get cured. I just want to feel better. And that's not the way it works. In counseling, you often feel worse before you feel better. Another real factor here is the cost of counseling. How do you get together the money to go to professional counseling? Even with insurance, our health system is rigged against mental health issues. And you end up paying a whole lot more for a whole lot less time with mental health issues than you do for physical illness. And the cost of it really, really becomes an issue. We're blessed to have a friend that's willing to talk to Purity, etc. Sorry.
It's okay. She said my name. It's all right.
Sorry.
It's all good.
I mean, we got some good people, but yeah, I'm kind of weird with the internet and people. I use my name because I don't care, but some people don't like it, so I don't want nobody looking up and emailing you out of the blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so yeah, the
Oh,
cost. Go ahead, go ahead.
sorry, I
Yeah,
just wanted to add something. Another thing about depression that I personally deal with, my main issue is I just feel like people don't care about me. And I know that's weird for me to say, but like that's how I feel a lot of the times. Like I know people care about me, like I know they love me, but there's just, like I said, there's just that feeling of like, even though I know, it doesn't feel like it. And that's what has been really hitting me hard, especially the past um the past few months is, you know, people care, but you just don't feel that, you know. So for me personally, what like I need like reassurance that people do care. Like, you know, just say, Purity, I do care about you. We want you here, you know. Like that's something that I need a lot, because I tend to struggle with that a lot, like not feeling like I belong or like I'm part of something. But I just wanted to touch on that, that even though like that's just something with depression, like you feel these things that you know you shouldn't feel, but you feel that way and you don't have control over that. But I just wanted to touch on that.
okay, okay. Well, yeah, hey, and I think you touched on it well, and you definitely pointed out some good things because it's just a lot of things that people don't know. Like a lot of people are ignorant. Like, see, it's different for different people. I know 14 years ago when it was hitting me, I pushed everybody away. Like I didn't want to be around anybody, because I'm actually very introverted right now. So I was like, oh, I don't want to deal with this person. I don't want to deal with that person. I don't want to go here. I don't want, it's kind of like you kind of withdraw from everything. So now that, I guess you kind of spoke on it and got us on the tip of the iceberg. What telltale signs do people need to watch for, even if a person who looks like they have no outward problems? What telltale signs do people need to watch for, for people that are very depressed?
Um, it's definitely there when they cannot do their normal work or their normal job. If it's a student, they've stopped doing their homework, they've stopped, being interested in going to school at all. They can't. There's this pervasive feeling that they can't get out of bed in the morning. You go ahead and you just face them with it. And even though it's hard, you say, "Are you depressed?" And see what their answer is. If you need to, if they start making statements about nobody loves me, I think I want to go away, you point out, ask them, are you thinking of hurting yourself? And if they say yes, you do not leave them alone until you have gotten them to some help. If they say no, well, then push a little further to be sure it's no. But you watch for those changes. Maybe they're sleeping too much, maybe they're sleeping too little, but it's the change from their normal behavior that you're watching for as much as anything. That, and of course, that they look sad. You know, maybe they can go play a game or something and put on a face for an hour, but at the end of that hour, they're just back to this real bad affect. Their face is sad.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just touch on it. When I was in ninth grade, um, I found out um, we were moving to Senegal as missionaries again. Because we lived in a town for like 6 years, and then I wanted to stay at the high school I was at because I liked it there so much. And I found out we were moving, and I was just so sad. And like, I'm a very active person. I like sports, and I think in gym class, my ninth grade, um, I think towards the end there, I just kind of stopped caring. Like I didn't have any interest in gym class. Normally I'd get an A in gym class, but I got a C for my final grade towards the end of the year, because I kind of just didn't care anymore. I didn't want to do gym class. I didn't want to play any sports because I was just so sad about moving. But yeah, I mean, that was something, because that was something that was a normal thing for me. I love sports. And the fact that I didn't have any interest in participating in gym class and doing sports was very rare for me.
Wow. I actually had and I'm gonna speak on this. I actually had a student athlete that I was, I was really close to, and he never showed any outward signs. He never showed any of this. He never wrote anything down. He never just did anything. Like, nobody knew. And then just one day, he'd taken his life, and nobody knew that he had been depressed for, like, over a year. And it wasn't diagnosed. I mean, he was like, just, like, hey, he was at home, like, acting normal, but there were a couple of things that, I didn't know at the time, that, oh, wait a minute, he's actually really depressed. Things such as, being like very introverted, like withdrawn from everybody. I didn't know that at the that was, oh, that's a red marker for depression. Because when I was depressed, I pulled back from everybody, but I still did the things that I normally did. But I was just like, really, I became really introverted. I still worked, but see, he had no outward signs. The only thing that I saw is that he pulled back, but he was doing it often. And I'm like, well, maybe he's just sick and tired of being around people, maybe. But that was his sign to, hey, I need help. So it's it's kind of a thing. So I guess people need to be just better safe than sorry then when it comes to this, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to track it down, because, like I said, they can put on a face, and then they go home and they got this cloud over them.
But just like you've been saying, we think that it's something to be ashamed of. And those of us that are friends and family members, it's not something to be ashamed of. We just need to ask, are you sad? Are you thinking of hurting yourself? Just ask.
Just ask, y'all. I'm telling you, just ask. It'll probably save somebody's life. Probably save their life.
Yeah.
So I guess what is the main thing, like, when you're in that state? What's the worst emotion that you've ever had? Like, when you just like, man, okay, I don't feel well. I just don't want to do this. I don't want to do anything today. Like, what is like the worst emotion that you've had? Like, you just like, ugh, I can't stand this.
I have struggled. I think the worst emotion I've had, I have struggled with thoughts of suicide. Um, yeah, that I have struggled with it, and I'm not ashamed to put it out there. Um, there have been a couple of times where, I'd sit, I'd actually have a bottle of pills, prescription medicine in my hand, and I'd sit there and just be like, do I do this? Do I not? Like, I actually sat there and contemplated it. But I think that was probably the worst motion that I had. I didn't do it. I talked to somebody, called somebody up, and was like, I need to talk to you. This is how I'm feeling, and it does help. But yeah, that's probably, I've gotten to that point where I actually contemplated it.
And as a teenager, now this is a long time ago, I did too. And you have a plan. If you have a plan and you're to the active point that you have a plan, such as a bottle of pills or whatever the plan may be, that is more serious than just feelings like, I don't want to be here anymore. You start thinking that the world will be better without me. No one will miss me. I will be happier. The problem is, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Suicide is depression is temporary. It does eventually go away. Death doesn't.
Now,
Now,
see, guys, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Nope.
for me as a Christian, of course, it was, well, I might as well just go home and be with Jesus. Why am I here anyway? I just want to go home and be in heaven. But that's not that's not the way to get there. Okay. So when somebody has a plan and is there, step in. Also, get a promise, even a written promise. If you have a friend who's in trouble, say, if you're thinking of it, promise me that you will call me before you do anything. Even a written promise if need be. Promise me you will call me before you do anything. They maybe can't promise you that they won't do it, but they can promise you, I will call you before I do it.
Yeah, like at least, can I be, I even used the strategy, hey, can I be the last person to talk to you? And I've actually done that with, student athletes who they were doing it, they were thinking about doing it. And it's like, how important is it for a person to understand psychology when you're dealing with somebody? Because I'm gonna tell you, in my background, I deal with kids who they have these kind of problems. I deal with a lot of them, and it's kind of you have to actually know personalities because if you don't, then you may actually encourage the behavior. Could you maybe speak on like how talking to the right person is key?
And I think the most important thing is most of us are not trained counselors. I've had to deal with it a great deal in my work, but I'm not a trained counselor. The biggest thing is to express that you care and that this is not the answer and that you really want to hang with them and care enough about them to walk through it. The worst thing you could do is walk away.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the worst. I mean, when you're constantly wanting help and people just ignore you, like that's the worst thing. So don't walk away. Somebody's feeling like that, like don't walk away and just put it off because that's why they're saying this to you. They're calling for help. So
don't be afraid though to get them in touch with mental health professionals. Certainly in my work, sometimes if it's beyond where I see that things are just too serious, I pick them up and I take them to the emergency room. And I sit with them there in the emergency room. They'll make you wait a long time because they hope it just goes away. But they'll sit you in the emergency room and keep you, under eyesight to make sure you do not hurt yourself. So don't be afraid to do that if it's not something that is beyond what you or I can handle. Take them to the emergency room.
And doing that, the person really in the long run, they really appreciate that, don't they?
Oh yeah, because when they might not appreciate it right then. They might be fighting you tooth and nail, but you just saved their life. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, because you don't know like who that person is. You don't know I believe in people having, a destiny. I believe in that they have these things. And it's kind of like the person that you don't help or the person that you don't try to help address it or get them to a professional. That's the person that's not gonna, it's not gonna change society. That's not gonna be the person that's gonna, be the lawyer or the person that's gonna have an impact on human life. That's the person that don't get to do the things that they're meant to do on earth. And and I also, I believe in God, Jesus, and I'm a Christian. We believe Jesus, and that's just how it is. So I believe that we all have a destination, and a destiny. So yeah, people need help. They you gotta get them to the right people because sitting in a chair, I always say there's nothing wrong with sitting in a chair. It's good, and at least you leave out of there, you feel even 5% better than when you were when you came out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like I said, that's better than nothing.
And even, I even tell people sometimes, because I actually go, like once every 3 or 4 months, and I just go, just there's nothing wrong, but I also do preventative maintenance on my mind and my emotions and stuff. Yeah, I go once every 3 or 4 months and just sit and just talk about life goals, and you'll be surprised, how much more productive you are when you just to go when you have no issues.
Right, and we don't utilize that near enough. It's a very important part of our lives to go and just like you say, do maintenance, do preventive stuff. We're blessed when we have that available to us. Too often money is an issue though.
Yeah, and I think with some people the money is an issue. I know it was an issue for me when I was dealing with it, but I was thankful that I had an extremely good pastor, like extremely. And when I say like he was the best, he addressed all the root causes of everything. And I was thankful to have that, him in life at that moment because that saved my life. Because I just, and I got to tell people too, like some people express it differently, like they don't have fear. Like if you see somebody that they're very, very, very reckless, extremely reckless, they probably might be suicidal because the suicidal people that I've encountered, they have no fear of anything. And I'm talking about like you could flinch at them, they won't move. You can pull out a gun, they would just look at you, like you're crazy or a knife. I mean, I've seen some mentally unstable people just like stand up to everything because they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes they're courting death, wanting it. I think we do need to make a differentiation too. There are all kinds of mental illness. There is depression, which is what we have been mainly talking about. But there are also other flavors of mental illness when you really are psychotic, when you are schizophrenic, when you are mentally ill on a different kind of plane and level. And of course, their responses are very different. And then you've got, you know, to some extent, you're dealing with it in a different way. And those particular types of mental illness, they don't necessarily go away. And you need to have professional help so that you can deal with it, medication, etc. So there are different flavors of mental illness. We've talked about depression, and that's probably the main one that most people just out there walking in our lives, most of us have had to at one time or another deal with some parts of that. But there are other mental illnesses.
Wow, and I'm glad, look, Guitar Bay's mom just dropped about 5 gems, guys. They're dropping gems. Guys, if you know somebody, have them come into this live stream, Um, they are dropping some major gems and they know, and the reason why we really wanted to do this live stream is because, she's got a heart to, she don't want to see people go through what she had to go through, and it's a big help. Like when people listen to this live stream, and I'm gonna share this share it where I can.
Mm-hmm.
People, it's gonna somebody's gonna relate to this. Even if one person relate to what you just said and the knowledge that your mom just dropped, then there's one person who's gonna think twice before being depressed or before hurting themselves. And
Yeah.
I so now let's do this. Let's talk about now, and I want to talk about maybe some of the mental attributes that you have to come out of it because coming out of depression is kind of like it's almost just as hard as coming out of a physical disease.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty tough. So maybe we can all talk about some things that we did to help us get out of the situation.
Well, I'm still dealing with it. I'm not out of it right now. Like I'm still dealing with it. So like right now, like I'm just trying to get counseling in, take medication for it. Um, but yeah, like I said, I'm still dealing with it, so I'm not completely out of it yet, but I'm working towards it.
I think that some of the things that we've said, as far as just getting the help, for me, when I get the least twinge, my trigger for depression is boredom. I'm never bored. I'm really always very fulfilled. I have wonderful work. But if I get bored, I know that the next step beyond my boredom is depression, and I try to stop it there. And I get a really good novel, and I spend a day just reading my novel and flying away to some other place, because I have learned that if I can just weather a certain amount of time, it will simply go away. The point is, you got to weather that time without doing damage to yourself. So for me, it's my novels or movies that keep me together. But to come out of it is a long process, and sometimes you've identified yourself as a depressive for so long that it's hard to give up that label. Even you have said that I'm depressed, and it feels comfortable then almost. So you don't know how to come past that. And you need to work at not staying there, at moving on. And counseling is what helps. And it's surprising. It kind of is slow and easy, not easy, but slow moving, in the sense that you wake up one morning, maybe a week, maybe 6 months later, and you say, you know, I'm not so sad anymore. I think that I am better. But sometimes it kind of creeps up on you. It isn't that you're depressed and all of a sudden, whump, you're well again. But you got to be looking for wellness. Don't get stuck there in that depression. It really will go away. Depression goes away.
Yeah, I mean, like like this year's been difficult for me, especially. Like I've had some triggers, I changed jobs. I'm changing jobs again. Um, yeah, I mean, this year's just been different because I've had a lot of changes happen. I think that's what triggered it.
Financial.
And finances too, like just changing jobs has been tough on me financially because I'm not somebody that struggles financially. I'm always good with my money, like I've always paid on time, always have paid on time. And this year, like, it's been just difficult because I'm changing jobs. And the job that I'm currently at, it's been difficult there too because I'm not getting the hours I want, and it has really set me behind, and that's why I've had to change jobs again because, it's just, you're trying to get, I'm trying to get to that point where I'm not struggling like that because that's not me, it makes me, I'm not the type of person that, you know, struggles financially. And I don't really talk about it with people, like I don't tell people, oh, I'm struggling financially. Like I don't tell like my closest friends or anybody like that I'm struggling financially because it makes me feel ashamed because that's not me. Like I've always been good with my money and I am good with my money. It's just unfortunately with the circumstances with work, with not getting the hours that I need, that really has triggered me, and it's not, like I said, it just, I don't like being in a position that I'm not used to being in, and being in that position where where I, struggle financially. And then I have to ask my mom for help. I don't like asking my mom for help. Like I know she would help me, but I don't like asking her for help because that's not me. I've always been independent and I've always taken care of myself, always tried to do things on my own. So it was difficult for me to ask my mom for help. Like, Mom, I need help. Like, I don't know how I'm going to pay this right now. And, thank God I have a mom that's gracious, generous enough to help me. But like I said, even though I know she'd help me, I don't like that feeling of asking for help. So, I mean, it was very difficult to be in that position.
Hey, you're making a lot of strides, and I guess what you're doing today, it really is helping a lot of people. You are so, and maybe that's one of your callings. Maybe this is something that you have to deal with because maybe you're gonna force other people how not to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I know when it was hitting me really bad, mine was triggered. Mine was triggered by death. Death and bloodshed. And my background, I did some things. I did a lot of things that were not quite so good. And I saw people. I saw people gunned down. I've just seen a whole lot of just stuff growing up. That kids shouldn't have to see, but I saw it, and it was a depressing atmosphere. Like you go out and you can see one of your best friends, and then maybe the next week you don't see him. Because somebody killed him, or just having a friend, you lose a friend to just different things. And throughout points in life, I've lost a really good friend. The first friend that I lost, he got his head blown away right in front of me. So I saw that, and at 13, 14, psychologically, it just kind of changed. So I used to care about stuff, and then I was really cold for a long time. Like people cried, I didn't really care about that stuff. I was just cold for years. And then when I started really getting through some of that, then a best friend that I met in college, he passed away. So then the process started all over again, being cold. But I came out of it when I realized, that when I hated, my father, and sometimes hating people would trigger depression. I hated him for years, But when I realized that the hate was actually killing me before the depression was, I had to think differently. I had to do things differently. And the first thing I did was I looked in the mirror, and I was overweight. I was like 280 pounds. Now I'm like, what, I'm 168 pounds. But I said, you know what? Look at me. I look like crap. Like, golly, what am I going to do with life? And then my pastor, he was telling me, what is it that you really wanted to do? Like, what is it? Because he told me, he said, look, if you want to go ahead and depress and kill yourself, he said, go right ahead. He said, but I don't get an opportunity to really know who you are. So you're going to cheat me out of knowing who you really are. That's what he told me. And that, I don't know, that stuck with me. And so I started looking at things that I really wanted to do. And I told him, I want to be able to affect thousands of people on earth. That's it. I want to do it. And I want to do it in the best way possible. And he said, okay. And I don't know how many of y'all believe in, prayer, but, I do. And so he prayed. And, after that was over, everything else that I dealt with, it just, I don't know, it was just easy. It was easy to get through. And then I started realizing my whole purpose. Why am I here on earth? Because, I thought I didn't have a purpose, because when I was running around with, some of my boys that was, out gun toting and just doing a whole lot of stuff, I was cold hearted and cold blooded, you know, I just was. But now, I kind of like, man, Priscilla Cacciera, she's got a problem, Megan Anderson, they got a problem. I don't like some of the stuff Megan says, but when we talking about like mental health, that's a totally different thing. Now we're talking about a person who theoretically they could either get better or they could get seriously worse. But you just have to have some faith, and you got to start speaking into existence what you want to happen. That's what I started doing. And
Yeah, and the whole
go ahead.
thing, like with Ronda Rousey, like a lot of people think she acted the way she did was how, like, when she mentioned thoughts of suicide. I don't think it was specifically because she lost, because I think she already had mental health issues before she lost to Holly Holm. She's, like the way that she was acting, saying, thinking about thoughts of suicide. I think that was just, I think that's, I don't think it has everything to do with the loss. They're like, like it just, when people are saying things like, oh, she wants to kill herself because she lost her belt. Like, I, I, I see right through that. I don't think it was because she lost. I just think she just has mental health, issues. Because I remember there was a documentary when she did the body issue with ESPN, and this is way before Holly Holm, and some photos had leaked and she was hysterical. Like she was upset about it. Like she was freaking out. I'm like, like she was really like just completely a train wreck about it, So I think people need to look past that, because like I don't think she was upset and went into hiding because she lost. I'm sure it didn't help, but I just think she just has mental health issues that she needs to work through. Because I lost, like big games and stuff, like when our rugby team lost at nationals, like it was upsetting, but like we weren't thinking about thoughts of suicide or anything, like, but like she was thinking about suicide, and I don't think it's solely from the loss. Like I just think she has mental health issues, and I think if she actually is working through that, working through some of those mental health issues that she has, I don't think she would have reacted to the loss the way she did.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I agree. Because you remember I even made a video about it. Like I was like, you know what? And I this is before they even had a fight, and I said, like she's kind of hysterical, like overly hysterical. And I'm like, man, you know, and I said, I think she don't handle things very well. Like she don't handle frustration. She don't handle the simple things, that don't go well. She don't handle that. She don't handle it well, and you can kind of tell. And just things started happening to her, one thing after another. Her home got vandalized. I mean, She then came back and she lost to Amanda Nunes, and then somebody stole from her house, and then she started getting all the hate on social media. Now, some of it, she did kind of pull some of that in, because of her attitude. But if the person is a mental train wreck, that don't you still shouldn't have to. You're not supposed to add to the problem, because some people really do. They really they're not right upstairs, and it's like like we used to. Maybe I know one time we said, God, hey man, there's some crazy people online, but then when I started really thinking back, I'm like, it's a lot of mentally really sick, and not like sick to the point where you're depressed, but I'm talking about like your mom was saying, look, it's different types of mental issues. Like it's people with some deep stuff that's leaving these comments, and you could be talking to a serial killer, you can be talking to somebody that's got pedophilic tendencies. I mean, it's a lot of different things going on with this mental health. It's nothing to play with. I take it seriously. Whatever somebody tell me to do, it's serious. It's very
Yeah,
serious.
I've seen some really nasty comments. I think I left a comment on Amazing Eric, one of on his video. I can't remember what the topic was, but I remember leaving a comment, and this guy replied to my comment that had absolutely nothing to do with the topic. Like, I think it was, we were talking about Ioana Jędrzejczyk tapping, whether or not she tapped. And this guy replied with something very nasty and perverted, saying, "Oh, Guitar Babe, I could make you tap in no time." And I just was like, what? I immediately spammed that. I immediately reported that comment. I'm just like, there's some really sick people out there, It's just like, okay. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
My mic. I keep cutting off. I mute my mic so you can talk. And then I'm talking to you. And then it's like I forget to unmute the mic. And so I'm talking to myself. And then you can't hear me. Well, here's what I want to do, and I know this may not, but I don't really, I don't shy away from my faith. I don't shy away from that. Openly admit, I'm not perfect. Yeah, I'm trying to get my potty mouth together. I really am. But I do believe in God. I do believe in His Son Jesus. I believe in all of that. And I definitely believe that the prayer was a big thing for me. It was big, um, especially coming from my background. That actually helped me, understand. And it's some of you, that's got issues, that you need to be addressed, because those demons, they can't hang around forever. They can't. They have to go away. Like your mom said, it doesn't stay. It's got to go. But you just got to be strong enough to weather the storm and get through the rough times, because there's somebody that needs to hear what you got to say. And I'm talking to everybody. There's somebody that needs to hear what you got to say. They need to hear it, because they're going to relate to you, and they're not going to do what they're thinking of doing because they heard you.
Right. And for each of us, do not downplay that core existence, that spiritual question mark that we have and have to answer. And that doesn't mean that the only way out of depression is faith in God. But for many of us, that is one of the things we're searching for when we are depressed, is a bigger meaning to life. And that's faith in God. So don't downplay that. I mean, without that, I know I would have killed myself long, long ago. And like you say, there's a reason that we're here. And for most of us, that is a reason that God will show us. And we have to be able to just ask, God, what do you want from me? What should we do now? So don't ever downplay that in the midst of our depression or our other mental health issues. Don't ever lose sight of that question mark.
I just want to just throw it out there, for anybody that's out there watching, because this is a very serious topic, just, I just want to just put it out there, if somebody is talking about suicide, or they're like, please don't be ignorant and say nasty things. Like, don't be like, oh, it's all in your head. You're just being like, because it really is something difficult to control. You know, it is a real illness. Mental health is real. You know, it is just like your body, like I said before, just like your body can get physically sick, you know, you can get a cold, you can get diabetes, you can get cancer, you know, your mind can be the same, you know, your mind can get sick as well. And, you know, your mind, just like your body, needs treatment. You know, it needs help. You need to treat it. So, I mean, I just wanted to throw that out there, you know, like, don't downplay how somebody's feeling, you know, because it really is serious. This is not something that, you know, like you can't tell somebody to um, just get over it. Oh, you just need a kick in the rear end, or um, oh, you just need a good time. Oh, it's all in your head, you know, like, because that's completely not the case. You know, it's very serious. People actually do need help, they do take medication for it. So I just wanted to throw that out there, you know, just the real seriousness of mental illness, especially depression, you know, that this is not something that it's not like a headache where you can just take over the counter medicine and it goes away half an hour. Like, this is something that is very serious and needs treated.
You know what? That's that's really that's a diamond. That's not a gem. That's a diamond that Guitar Babe just dropped, y'all. That's a diamond. You know, she's good with the guitar, but man, I mean, this is a topic, you know, and hopefully one day, you know, you actually maybe even do like a blog series on this because I think, you know, even the little time that we're spending now, I think a lot of people are really, you know, like there's some people, and you don't have to admit it. Don't come out and say it's you, you know,
Yeah.
but you know, internally there are a lot of people that's probably not even, you know, listening, no, or not even typing. They're getting something out of this, you know. You know, I mean, I'm definitely getting a lot out of it, and I thought I knew a lot about it, but no, you and your mom, y'all took me to different levels of okay, because I'm gonna use this in my everyday life, especially when I'm dealing with athletes. I mean, I'm gonna use a lot of stuff that we just talked about. That's why I really wanted to talk to you about it. Um, yeah, this is incredible, you know, and I appreciate it. So now, when a person realizes now, you know, okay, all right, I'm gonna get through this. Okay, I'm feeling great. How important is it, okay, to really have your family so you don't relapse? Like, what are the things that family can do to keep the person from relapsing? And then
Um,
and what can a person do too to really avoid relapsing? Because you know, you like you said, it does return. But yeah, okay, what can you as like family members do to really support that person?
well, for me personally, like, my family lives far away. Like, you know, my siblings live in different states. So for me, like my friends, like especially my rugby team, they're pretty much my family away from my family. So I really, you know, um I talk to them. So it has been very, very important to me because, you know, playing rugby, you know, being on a team and just being around the girls, you know, has is very important for me because, you know, like it is like a family. You know, my rugby team is like a family. We always, after a game, we're always hanging out together. You know, we will plan like a rugby team dinner. You know, just with some the players, and it's just, you know, just to be together. You know, so um, I video chat with my mom every single day. You know, just about every day when she's over in China, so that helps me, you know, just talking to her every single day because, you know, I mean, I she's here now, you know, so I get to spend time with her and that has really helped. So when they go away, it is sad for me, but you know, having video chat, being able to video chat with the technology we have now has really helped because a long time ago, I couldn't do that. You know, there wasn't any way for me to do it. It just wasn't possible. So having that, you know, there just really helps, you know, just to be able to video chat with family and, you know, just that's that's been very important as well.
And I think family is our biggest blessing and our biggest curse, because we love our family more than anything else on earth. But we also have history with our family. So that some of the triggers for the depression are part of our family too, and what's gone on with them. And you mentioned before the hatred that you had for your dad. Yeah, biggest blessing, biggest curse right there. And to be able to practice that forgiveness, when you forgive somebody, it doesn't necessarily help them all that much. It helps you. It lets you out of the cage that you put yourself in by not forgiving them and hating them. So to somehow deal with those issues, most of our issues revolve around our families. And yet they're the ones that can also bring us help, support, healing, love. And so to be able to do that, and we're never going to get that if we're cut off from them, if we, have cut ourselves off. Now, if it's to the point of abuse, okay, don't let them be part of your life. But short of that, to keep that communication open, even when it's sometimes uncomfortable. I am so thankful. My husband and I have spent close to 30 years overseas. Most of that time, technology has not been available. There were times in Zambia when it took 3 weeks to get a letter back and forth. This is just such a blessing to be able to talk to my daughter every day on the phone, sometimes many times a day, even if we're 12 hours different. So what's in the middle of the night for her is the middle of the day for me. It still is wonderful. So don't cut yourself off from your family. They're your biggest blessing, even if they're also some of your worst curse.
Yeah, yeah, family. Yeah, family can help you. They can heal you. They can hurt you. It can be either one. So you gotta make a decision on that. But wow. Okay, well, this been some good information. Definitely. Guys, if you have anybody suffering from depression, definitely take them to definitely see the counselor, because we're not giving you medical advice. We're just talking experiences and what we've experienced. So, guys, this is not medical advice. Okay. Anything that you think is deemed like very important, you need to go see a medical professional, and that's what we're getting up, that's what we're doing. Um, but other than that, I don't know, anything else you want to touch on before we say, hey, let's wrap it up?
Not that I can think of. I think we touched on just about everything. But yeah, just don't be ashamed of your depression. You're not crazy. It's okay. There is help available. You can talk to somebody about it. Like I said, me personally, if you talk to me about depression, like I said, I'm not gonna think you're crazy. I don't judge people dealing with things like that. So, like I said, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Okay. And guys, I want to encourage y'all, if you're dealing with something right now, don't type it in, don't say it's me, don't say me, me, me. I just want you to, just for a minute or two, just, really just focus and concentrate, because I want you to know that, um, there's hope. Okay. There is hope. And don't let the voice inside of your head tell you that you ain't got no hope. Don't let that person, that friend that's supposed to be your friend, tell you that there's no help for you. Don't even let your mom or your daddy, don't let nobody tell you that you're crazy. Don't let them tell you that you're crazy. You tell them that I got a purpose. Okay, you tell them I got a purpose. I'm not crazy. You don't let people think that there's something wrong with you, because there's nothing wrong with you. Okay, there's nothing wrong with you. The only thing it is wrong is that the fact of the matter is that you're saying there's something wrong with you. Okay, you're well, you're normal. Okay, you're normal. You just gotta tell yourself that it's gonna be okay. You gotta look up, because you look up in the sky, there's a creator up there in heaven, and he looking back down at you. I don't care. Well, I don't believe in that. Well, fine. Then just focus on something else. Focus on getting well. But there's somebody up there that's looking out for you every single day. The reason why you here listening to this stream, or you listening to it in archive, is that you were supposed to be here. Okay. There's nothing by coincidence in life. Everything is by design. and you are the maker of your own destiny. If if you see yourself doing what you need to do, everything will work out. It always work out. You just got to be here so people can hear your story on how it worked out. And that's just how it is.
Yeah, so I don't have anything else.
Okay. Well, guys, I want to thank y'all for joining. We're probably we'll do this again. Maybe we'll talk about some different topics. Hit like little mini excerpts here. But I think we'll do this again because I really enjoy talking to you and especially your mom with the gym knowledge that she's bringing, and it's awesome. So I appreciate you and your mom. Thank you, mom. That was awesome.
Thank you for having me. This was really fulfilling for me.
Hey, well, y'all have a powerful voice in this arena. You got a powerful voice, and I definitely and good time. I'm gonna try to encourage hey, maybe even do like blogs or weekly things on this because I think you really have a gift in this area to help people.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And maybe it's your higher calling. But anyway, on behalf of my good friend Guitar Babe and her legendary mom, and I'm gonna call her legendary, her legendary mom, this is Coach Sheldon Harrison. Thank you guys, and we'll see you back later on tonight after Cyborg Home.